Oh, and on Nyx's eye. This will be interesting. Team 2 OSP. Don't know if everyone realized they were on Nyx's eye. I guess we'll find out when we get to the fleet deployment. Let's see what kind of spiciness is coming out from Team Stackaroonie. Obviously, money's on them to win the game. But we'll have to see how it shakes out. I always say, just because you have a bunch of bars doesn't mean you're better. It just means you've been here longer. Sometimes that translates, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to see. Feel a bit spurgy today. I keep trying to explain things and then casting and interrupting myself. So let's try and keep it together, man. All right, team 2 going for, looks like they want to concentrate on the left. Now this map, unlike Pillars, you want to play differently. For Nyx's Eye, you still want to create a triangle where you take 2 points and then you have a point in the middle, and that triangle sets up sort of your defensive area. So on Pillars, you have your 2 naturals, and then you have the center point. So you want to take your left flank, you want to take your right flank, and then ideally you take A. Oh, good, Bren. So what you're saying is, when you win, I won't be able to call you a cheater. I see. So going back to the map positions, on Pillars you have that left and right flank and then that 1 point in the center, and that makes your triangle. Triangle, easiest to defend. You can very easily move something from the center to either the left or the right, something from the left or the right into the center. On this map, however, your natural is in a straight line. This is sort of typical. It's basically the other way to set up a map. But because of that, if you go for, say, B, C, and D, for example, as Team 1, now you don't have a triangle. I mean, you do have a triangle, but it happens to cross through a point that the enemy has, and that's a huge disadvantage. So if they take A, for example, and you're on B, C, and D, they can very easily push C and slice one half of your team off from the other half. They can push D, in which case whoever's at B has no chance of catching them before they get to D. So based on that, what you want to do instead is pick a side. Either, let's see, Team 1 has correctly gone for this strategy where you take D, for example, and C, and then you push up to A. And that gives you that triangle that can support its flanks and its center. OSP team 2 might be going for a similar strategy. It is a little bit of luck involved in this game. You can push heavily onto the same flank, which is exactly what is going to happen here, in which case you wind up with a bloodbath, and then the other point goes lonely and uncaptured for a while. Hopefully there are some lighter ships available on this side, and also the ANS side. They do have light cruisers. They're capable of scuttling down there quickly and capping that. Let's go through the fleets real quick. Emu Mosh Veteran looks like a missile all-in frigate. No point defense, no anything. He's got a Pinard to find targets for him. Other than that, he is solely relying on distance and not being spotted in order to protect him. A very, very risky strategy against OSP. Their early warning radars, of which they have plenty, if they manage to catch out this fleet, They'll know where it is. Whatever long-range firepower they have available, they'll be able to send into this, and there's absolutely nothing. As I say that, here comes an EWR. Looks like it spotted the sprinter. It's more than likely spotted or will spot these frigates in short order. Oh, maybe not. Luckily for Emu Mosh. Meanwhile, PRS playing just a beam array. Simple, tried and true. If it gets into range, should be able to pump out a lot of damage. Meanwhile, MW, gun CL with a missile backpack, S3Hs, and oh, this is the same player in last game. So it's gun CL plus a point defense CL. I suppose someone has abused him of missiles in the past. AEW taking a pair of teal and pink. Looks like Task Force Oak. Like Task Force Oak. Great starter fleet. If you're wondering what you should play and you're new to the game, play Task Force Oak. Big Jasil having a little bit of a think, a little bit of a sit down with his 450 Ocello. That's supported by an LRT, EWR, 2 EWRs, a capping shuttle with some rockets, and a mine layer tug that also happens to have a 250. Interesting. So essentially, what this really is an intel fleet, a scouting fleet that just happens to also have a 450 Ocello. One single 450 Ocello can be dangerous, but not specifically a standout threat against the ANS. A lot of the points, probably I'd guess about half, have been spent on all of these scouts. And as you can see from all of these blue domes everywhere, that the OSP is going to have excellent sensor coverage for this game. Meanwhile, Creek, like his 30K. Is this 30K, not 40K? I feel like this is somehow Warhammer related, but I guess I'm out of the loop on that one. Anyway, he's bringing a modified version of the Plasma T30 monitors. Looks like the count is 3 of those, plus some E-War and point defense tugs, and his own EWR. Oh, missed. How that tug got taken out. Was that... The enemy is securing zone boxer. Must have been a missile that took that out. Meanwhile, Vitz has a... okay. Has 450s on both sides of his line ship, and... Are these Sarissas? A Sarissa, rail on the bottom, Ocello. Gaming. And Vren has his pair of 450 line ships, which is doing battle with the Axfords. They do have target. Do have line of sight. Have to be careful. Not sure. He's spotted these DDs. Perhaps doesn't know what they are. The DD's burning in at their maximum, 27 meters per second. Not going to be a lot of room for Vren to get out of this situation. If they continue to push, and they are, this could spell disaster. Here comes some size 2s. It looks like, oh, he's realized the threat. He shifted targeting over to these destroyers. Unfortunately, destroyers a plenty small target to hit. The 450s, there's no fire control lock. They're firing at LRT locks. I would assume there's no track correlators available. Wow, a stunning amount of flak coming off these destroyers, each of them armed with 2 stone walls, simply obliterates swats from existence, those size 2s. Take a quick peek. Anything else happening? Doesn't look like it. Let's get back to the size 2s, see how this wave fares. Going to guess not very well, although for some reason the stone walls are not firing. They took a nap. Not sure exactly what happened there. Perhaps that little juke over the rock was enough to confuse the point defense controller. Meanwhile, looks like these plasma T30 monitors are attempting to come down and assist. Oh, was there jamming available? Maybe. I might have missed that. No jamming available that time. And oof, all of this is just so close to these destroyers. I feel like they have to be within firing range by now. They are armed with beams. And when those Stonewall fires, just a Battlestar Galactica-esque wave of flak through which nothing can penetrate. Absolutely confused what is happening here. Surely they're within range now, but they are opting to attempt to retreat instead of firing their beams. If they only fired their beams, this line ship might already be dead. It's possible that this is too far. It's possible this is too far. Yeah, hi Terabyte. They're definitely turning. No, it's really hard to see ranges in the attack view. I'm not, because if you know a way to change this, let me know. But I think this cross just sticks on the center of the map, so I can kind of like guess this was 15 kilometers and over here was 10, so maybe 5-ish kilometers distance between them. I'm not sure exactly. It was definitely close. They may have been... no, if whatever ship I select or double click on or anything, it never moves that tack range for me. Otherwise, yeah, it'd be really easy to figure out, but without that, I'm kind of stuck guessing. It should have been right around between 5 or 6 kilometers range, which is range for the beams, but it's possible they were just skirting just barely out of that 6-kilometer range. Let's take a look. Mine's coming up on B. A shuttle's gone to A. Meanwhile, C and E have been capped by their respective teams. Most of the action looks like it's happening on this left-hand side. Plasma looks like it's being not juked. So, kind of an interesting position that Plasma... Oh, there come the beams, finally. Yes, this was absolutely within range. I think they were just trying to get away from those monitors. Maybe they wisely decided that they didn't want to take on everything at the same time. These 450s, without this fire control, it finally is here. Perhaps it's not enough. I'm sure this line ship is being torn apart. It's eating 450s from the Axfords. It's eating a beam. These must just be at maximum range here. It looks like Vren is attempting to back further out, but there's thruster damage now. His speed is dropping, and he's fully within range of these DDs now. Meanwhile, the rest of these 450 Axfords are continuing to pour fire into this poor, unfortunate line ship. Meanwhile, its friend and compatriot loosing some more size 2 missiles. Let's see if these fare better. Check on the jamming this time. None available, which means these will once again be swatted from the sky. And they are. Looks like this Ocello and line ship have come out to flank these destroyers. More an avenging action than a defending one. Oh, and there is more 450 fire coming from this player. These DDs in a little bit of a precarious position now. They definitely want to flee back home to Mama Axford and get protection. But they do finish off that line ship before making that retreat. At least what I hope is a retreat. Certainly this is not within beam range, neither of these two fleets. They are side on. And pouring fire into these DDs. There isn't too much more some of these can take before they start losing critical components. Already some thruster damage here might be able to prevent this DD from... Oh, I missed some cruise missiles. Where were they? Oh, suppose those were fired from up here. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, with the addition of these light cruisers above, are in a bad situation. There's no cover for these monitors unless they... Let's see, they could go under this ridge here. Not sure what they're attempting to do. I think they're just running away as fast as they can. Perhaps they lost target lock there for a second and turned away. They're turning back now. There goes one of the destroyers down. Meanwhile, more hybrid missiles being launched from up top. A whole lot happening on this side at once. Yeah, ANS is losing on points for sure, but OSP is losing on fleets for sure.
The enemy is securing zone Comet.
There isn't a whole lot of capping power available to the ANS. Meanwhile, between Bigdrasil... Well, it's really Bigdrasil that's holding that down. Let's see how these hybrids fare. Some AMMs coming out from the line ship, intercepting some of the S3s. Interesting. I'm not sure why that S3H didn't stage. It was clearly within range. The one that did hit deals a little bit of damage to this monitor. Yeah, the other spectator has the same question. What are those sabers doing? Not sure. And what remains of Vren's 450 fleet and the monitors look like they do, for the moment, break contact. Hopefully they're able to regroup with the rest of the Ocello fleets and hold that flank. If they manage to not get killed in short order here, they're actually in an excellent position. They've captured the entire rest of the map, including Sea Point. A cheeky shuttle from Bigdrasil over here has gone and done that. And at this point, based on the size of just how large Nyx is, if any of you haven't played on it before, it is a huge map. I think it's 12 kilometers, maybe even 14 from one point to the other. And with this 4-cap, and they haven't even captured D, although they spent all that effort. Some more rage happening here. As I was saying, because of the points, I have to go ahead and just call this for the OSP. There's almost no way the ANS manages to actually travel the distance required to take the amount of points away from the OSP team that would be needed. These CLs could possibly do it, but they have a major obstacle standing in their way in the form of 2 Ocellos, as well as this gun on every mount line ship. It's firing 250s at them for now, and will rotate and get C-65s on target. Okay, this ship makes a little bit more sense now. It fires from the roof, it fires from the right, and then it fires from the left again. All gun, all the time. Meanwhile, these monitors plus 450 line ship continue their duel on the left-hand side. It's very unfortunate that oh, a couple missiles squeak through there. Looks like those are HKPs. That's unfortunate. They've gone in side on, meaning they've done almost the minimum amount of damage that they can. If one of these missiles had instead entered the bow, for example, and gone out the back, it could have hit absolutely every single module on the way through. Instead, coming in from this side angle means, oh, there's more. There's more 650. Absolutely every mount on this thing is a cannon. It's just going to do the spins and fire everything. It's actually very funny. Is that what they're called? Revolver line ships? I'm actually kind of a fan of this, as silly as it is. You know, why not? I like mine T30 and plasma flavored. They can shoot all of their guns at the same time. But this is this is also pretty funny. Let's check out how this Ocello doing. It's fine. So is the Axford. Kind of this maximum range 450 gunfights that happen are mostly this. Just some impacts, not really much though. Just, you know, just having a good old time, lobbing some shells at each other. Or not in the case I forgot this was a Sarissa Ocello gaming. Ooh, point blank rockets. I don't think. No, none of those actually managed to hit. Which is okay. This shuttle will just kind of trundle on by. Excuse me, sir. Terribly sorry. Meanwhile, the Revolver line ship manages to take out that CL. Very funny. Which unfortunately again leaves this point defense CL without any weapons, nothing to do. Very sad. Let's take a look around. Couple S3Hs, most likely fired from the frigates, coming out here. Let's see what they're trying to go for. Not sure what they were trying to go for. Maybe they saw a scout briefly and thought they'd have a go. Kind of hard to tell. Meanwhile, this point defense Ocello, suppose no one realizes it is a point defense Ocello. It's having everything shot at it. And the monitors and the line ship continue to back off. This would be an excellent time for their... Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that thing now. I agree with you, Starkington. It would be a good time for these monitors and this line ship to re-engage. These Axfords have been distracted. Of course, when you're in this position, it's always easy to get fixated on killing the target that you're shooting at. Oh, let's see this Ocello, what kind of work it can do. Unfortunately, not much. Manages to kill none of those hybrids. Looks like the weave securing its value and dodging all the Sarissa shots. They might actually have been outside of the firing arc since they came from above. I'm not sure exactly what the firing arc on them are. Trying to figure out who... Oh. Meanwhile, these Axfords, they finally managed to land some hits on this line ship. Suppose they decided they'd have better luck against it than the Ocello, or maybe that was just the hybrid damage. No, it's definitely taking hits now. There's still no target lock on it, but it is massive. Let's see if these frigates, they fired all of their size 3 hybrids. Only have a couple size 2 hybrids left. Meanwhile, they're being shot by this Ocello. I have to tell him. There, your Revolver line ship. That's going in the title, actually. I'll have to figure out something catchy involving Revolver line ship. Here come the size 2 hybrids. Perhaps some work needs to be done on this Ocello. It's not really... Oh, well, that's the best place to get them. This Ocello not really carrying its weight as point defense. Suppose that's due to the fact that the Sarissas got taken out early. And with that, it looks like this player is pretty much knocked out. He still has his Ocello, but not much is happening with it, and he's being shelled mercilessly by these 450s. Hoping to see more out of these DDs. They were in a good position. Perhaps the commander of them decided that they did not want to go out into the open and attack. Unfortunately, they're not really in the position where they can ambush. When you're playing on a side and you have 1 point and the enemy team has 4, it's very, very difficult to play an ambush fleet like DDs, because at that point you have to push into the enemy, and if you're playing later in the game, you've most likely been spotted already. So the enemy knows where you are. They'll have something in place to deal with you. As I say that, here come 450s, here come T-30 plasmas, slamming into this DD. It's probably going to go down in short order. Doubly bad, it's broadside on and firing at a target which has no weapons. And the 450s especially slamming into the side of this DD. It has no restores, so as soon as its CIC goes out, and it is out and dead. Meanwhile, checking in on these Axfords actually very high health. They've been doing a great job, at least with combat, not so much with winning the game, unfortunately. But just again, just a testament to how great of a fleet Oak is, doing this much work and being this tough. Are there 0 blankets on the DDs? Yeah, I do believe that is the case. Let's see. The bottom here, that's a bullseye. That's a bullseye. Oh, we saw it and love it. Don't worry, Vitsin.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
It was great. We loved it. Let's check the other DDs, see if they had blankets on here. That's a bullseye, and I'm gonna guess another bullseye. Yep. So nope. In this case, 0 blankets. I'm not sure if you've played recently, but jamming did receive a lot of changes and a pretty big rework. Now when you jam, It leaves a strobe indicator. It looks kind of like an ELINT track. And what that lets you do is kind of keep track of where the fleet that's jamming you is. So in the case of something like a beamstone, you can actually fire weapons on that track, and if whoever is doing the jamming isn't very fast,
The enemy
they can still
secured
get
Zone
hit.
Atlas.
So because of that, we've seen sort of a shift in the meta. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The enemy is
Lone Wolf
securing Zone
saying they did a
Combat.
good job against the stack, and I have to agree. This team did a did a great job fighting and engaging. They took definitely bloodied the stack team a good bit. So because of that change and how jammers worked, we've really seen a shift in the meta. People are no longer bringing like 6 jammers and just shooting them at everything because of that strobe, and especially because of the matchup. So in the case of OSP, when they have those long range radars, these big early warning radars, the long range targeting radar, if they shoot that at a destroyer from beyond 10 kilometers, which they can, they both have more than 10 kilometers worth of range, those long range radars, the jamming is actually unable to affect them.
The enemy secured Zone Combat.
Yeah. So that has kind of suffered along with EO Seekers since the Dazzler was introduced. Both of those systems sort of have an outsized effect, right? Before, if you consider jamming, if you consider the electro optical seeker, just the fact that there was not really a counter to both of those systems. I know it was possible with spotlights and bullseyes and all that stuff to fight jamming, but it wasn't really, what I would consider a counter. It was a solution, really. Ooh, some rockets coming in from the monitors. And because of that, just the fact that now there actually is a counter has really cut the amount of jamming and EOs that we see on the field. Just, not from the fact that those counters are especially strong or devastating against them. Oh, yeah, these rockets just, well, now they finally, have enough armor damage to get through. Um, Yeah, because those counters now exist, just as a fact, they exist. A lot of people just don't bring certain types of equipment because they are concerned, if you put 600 points worth of blankets on your fleet and one long range radar sees you, well, now you've, starved yourself 600 points. And that's really one of the great things about this patch and everything that new that's come in with it. Um,
The
and this is
enemy is
more,
securing Zone
not to
Atlas.
you specifically, Terabyte, but to other people who will watch this, that the meta is so much more well-rounded now. There are counters to more things. It's pushing people to experiment more. Obviously, there's still some rough edges. There's always going to be rough edges in a competitive game. But I'm just so happy with the state right now and how really it's opened up a lot in terms of the ships that you can bring, in terms of the builds that you can bring, the number of things you have to consider. Oh, maybe I can take this, which is good against that, but not this. So yeah. Ooh, one rocket. One rocket made it through. Yeah, I'm a little so-so on the anti-gung frig changes. When I tested
The
it,
enemy
they
has
were still
secured Zone
pretty
Atlas.
effective. I haven't seen anyone particularly bring a gun frig since those changes went in, but when I tested it, they were still very effective at between 6 and 7 kilometers. So we'll have to see whether or not. Ah, you did fine, friend. We're not even going to look at the numbers. I mean, with a game like this, you're really just looking at, having some good fights and seeing what fleets work, what fleets didn't work. The biggest thing here that you can see immediately the difference in the amount of map control and specifically the amount of intel, radar coverage, and how quickly and how consistently the control points are captured. As you move up in skill levels, as you move up in experience, one of the things that truly goes next level is your ability to manage and take in more of the map and control more of the map, build fleets with more capping ships, and move just beyond, I'm going to take my ship and I'm going to pew pew the other ship. That hands down is the biggest difference as people in this game get more experience. So if you're looking to up your game, I always suggest add a couple more capping ships into your fleets, add a couple more radar, whether it's long range or a spyglass or something. Move those elements of your fleets around on the edges, above, below, experiment some, get a feel for expanding your situational awareness. It'll make you a much better player.